and everybody who is slightly younger, who is wanting to get into filmmaking or editing or this craft or this art form.
So you are a director too, right? They say that you'll have to edit the film while writing the script. You edit in your mind, then you edit in pre-production.
Yeah. So how much ever we may say that we have to edit the script when we write it, etc. But still, when you come down to the edit table, it still gets rewritten. So, as the old saying goes, that the film gets written in 3 stages: one at the story level, the writing level, then it gets made on the shoot, and then at the edit. So, how much ever you may think that you are going to edit this way or that way, or after this shot that line will come, or whatever that is, it's still a lot changes when you are editing. Because then you have visuals, then you have people talking your lines, people have expressed the emotions. Then you maybe don't need a certain line to convey a certain thing, maybe which has already been conveyed in the previous emotion, etc. So while on paper you have nothing, no visual reference. So on paper you're trying to give it a logic. When you direct, also you are trying to be, in the realms of the script, that okay, let's have everything so that in the editing table we will see how to figure it out. But at the edit table, it more so happens that you have already seen something visually. So then why speak it? So those kind of things always happen, and how much ever you may write a script in terms of the edit in mind, but it still changes when you are actually editing.
Yeah.
Because I've seen the actors perform, there are expressions involved, there is action involved, there is movement involved, there are a lot of things, a lot of parameters that come into play. You have actually a visual thing going on in front of you. So yeah, it still changes when you are there.
So what do you prefer? You are a director too. What do you prefer, direction or editing?
See, once an editor, always an editor. You cannot think beyond editing. So somebody I had heard in my younger times that if you're a good editor, you can be a good director.
Yeah.
So in the want of being a director, I pursued editing so that if I'm able to be good at it, then I might be able to be a good director. But then editing is such a process that it just involves the entire soul of it. And once an editor, always an editor. So editing will always be first up. But yes, there are stories that I want to tell, and hopefully I will tell.
What are your best 5 films you would recommend?
5. Okay, first, right on top of my list always is a film called Barak. Have you watched it?
It's a documentary.
It's a documentary. It's available for free on YouTube. It's a documentary. And it's been shot over many years. But the beauty of it is there is no spoken word in the film. And you still understand the entire story.
It's about the evolution of the planet.
Yeah. So that for me is the power of visual storytelling. Like only with visuals put one after the other, how can you convey what's in your heart? So you don't need dialogues, you don't need spoken lines. You don't have to say anything. You see visuals back to back and you understand what's going on. So I think Baraka will always be on top of my top 5 list, and it will be all number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. So it is the film that I will
There's a code that even you can watch a good movie even when the sound is off.
Yeah, yeah. Off late, recently, actually, the digital revolution has brought in some really interesting work that a lot of young editors are doing. I'm really not aware of their names, but some of the work that I see nowadays is really put together well. Uh, it's been beautifully cut. It's been beautifully conveyed. So I think a lot of the younger generation is really picking up the fact that all that matters is the story, and all that matters is the point that is being conveyed. So editing overall, I think, is that the point needs to be conveyed.
Right.
And so whether you really understand the grammar or the technique or the actually ये ऐसे करते हैं या वैसे करते हैं वाले जो factors हैं, more than that, whether the point is being conveyed or not is what really matters. So yeah, nowadays really good content gets made. I can't pinpoint anything, but whatever randomly I end up watching, some of the stuff I like. Some of the stuff may not have really a lot of cuts in terms of the edit per se, but it's not just about having a lot of cuts.
The story needs to be conveyed.
The story needs to be conveyed. So if the story gets conveyed in fewer cuts, then yes, that is the right way of doing it. Or if the story needs a lot of number of cuts, then yes, then that is probably the way of telling a certain point that needs to be conveyed. Yeah. So there is no set rule as such. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll get to one last question. What advice or what tips would you like to give to the new generation editors or directors or anybody who is into filmmaking?
Yeah. As far as tips are concerned, I'm learning myself. Every day
You are a
is a
student
learning
too.
process. I'm a student, always a student, will always be a student. So I'm learning every day too. But some of the things that have helped me as far as my work is concerned, one of the very important things is that you have to read the script a number of times. Because that is really the first hardcore of the writer, and some of the times the director himself is the writer. So a lot of the vision gets put down on paper. So reading the script and trying to understand the script is extremely, extremely important. That helps you get into the character's mind or the story's mind or the director's mind at sometimes. So reading the script and understanding the script is extremely important even before you start putting even the first cut together. So I believe that value is given to the script, but from the point of view of studying it deeply is what I'm trying to do. I'm very sure that young people, everybody who is editing, puts their focus on scripts. But yes, I think that is extremely, extremely important. Another thing is that the story should take precedence over anything and everything. Absolutely anything and everything. So at times when you feel that a cut may or may not work in terms of the correctness of it, but if it's taking the story forward, then the cut has to be made. And constantly, I feel that with every shot, the story needs to go forward. These are a few things that I would like to say.
The emotion of the story needs to be conveyed properly.
Yes, yes. story.
The
I mean,
story.
this is not necessarily the story has is an emotional story. Sometimes it's about a real incident, which is not a very emotional incident, but an incident that is that has a lot of road keepers.
So there were two questions. How often do you re-edit, and uh, which which software do you prefer more? Premiere Pro, Avid, FCP? These are two questions.
So when I say that the story is important and it should be of the prime most importance, a lot of the times one has to re-edit. So we think that okay, we have put a lineup together or an edit together, and we think that oh, this is it. But sometimes when you sleep over it and you wake up the next day and you go and watch the edit, you might feel that oh, this shot shouldn't be there, or this part should be there, or that part should be there. So that revision scope always has to be there. So it's not actually re-editing, but I would say that you need to revise that.
Yeah.
You need to go back and see whether you can do with something, or you need to add something more, or you need to remove something which is extra. So by that I mean you have to be able to objectively see it as a third person, or as a viewer, or as an audience. It takes a little bit of time to get into that mindset, but you need to achieve that to be able to be the audience.
You need to
watch.
You need to be the audience first.
You need to be the audience first. Yeah. So sometimes you may feel that oh, I understand this, so why have it? But sometimes the audience doesn't. So sometimes the audience needs to be told A for apple, kind of thing, which is all right as far as your point is concerned.
Yeah. So second question is, what softwares do you use for editing?
See, it all started with a very it all started with a software called Edit 6. Nowadays there is a software called nowadays it's been a long time now. There are softwares called Smoke or Flame or Fire or Inferno, these kind of software. So they are now owned by a company called Autodesk.
Yeah.
But before that, there was a software called Edit 6, which was owned by a company before Autodesk, which was Discrete. So it all started with that software. They had their own keyboard, and it had its own layout and everything, and it was great to work on that. Mostly on the video format, or the television format back then. But for film, always Avid was one of the best softwares. But later on came the Final Cut Pro, and on Final Cut Pro, then we would have layering, and then graphic or chroma, and all these kind of as filmmaking got evolved. Final Cut Pro became a little more accessible and little more user friendly, if you may say. But a lot of people were actually preferring Avid. So it's all person to person. It's all person to person. But now I am mostly using Adobe Premiere Pro. Great software. Yeah.
Okay. So thank you for joining, sir. We'll get more into the topic. We'll get more into filmmaking. Whenever you have time, we'll just casually talk about filmmaking, about films.
Yes, absolutely. do this. Let's talk about films. Let's talk about storytelling.
Yeah. So thank you for being with us, and also guys, thank you for joining, and like, share, and subscribe to Appreciating Cinema if you want to watch more podcasts like this. Okay, so thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. All the best. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.